Gags, is there anything else? Because I know you spent about an hour writing up 15 questions.
We have to do a quick fire round.
Yeah, just going back to Newcastle. Thank you for the answers that you've given so far, and also how respectful you've been with the Jota stuff. I've been watching you on Grizz's show as well, and it was really very much appreciated, to be honest. So back to Newcastle. Do you know anything about their striker hunt at the moment with Sesko and Watkins and Wissa? If you've got any insight on what's happening with that, that would be really interesting for the Liverpool fan base, because we know they've been struggling to buy, or they haven't got the cash to buy. So if they do buy, then it's a clear sign something's about to happen with Isak, you know.
Yeah, I think they've got the cash, actually, because they're not in as bad a PSR bind as 12 months ago, but I think they don't have the wage space. And remember, PSR is annual, wages are however long your contract is. So they don't want to break their wage structure until perhaps they're in a position where they feel guaranteed to get European or Champions League football. Because if you go back a bit further, new owners came in, second bottom of the Premier League, Champions League, out in what was then the group phase before this new league format. Then they got nothing because Manchester United beat Man City in the FA Cup and they got bumped down a spot. Then they got Champions League again. So if you suddenly start paying a Champions League wage, if that pattern was to continue, you're overextending, which is more important than PSR, because as soon as you sign a player or offer Isak 300k over however many years, it's locked and you can't get out of that outlay. And I feel a bit sorry for Newcastle because I don't think they failed like people are billing, because it's a great club. It's a great fan base. I've always had a soft spot for Newcastle United, and I think they're brilliant. And trying to challenge the big six with this project, I know some will say, well, of course, they're owned by one of the richest sovereign wealth funds, and we shouldn't ignore that. But you look at the Geordies, and you look at the culture, and you look at how they celebrated that long trophy drought ending. And
Ben, Liverpool fans were happy for them. I was there, and I was celebrating. I was like congratulating them in hotels and stuff. I'm like, we were very happy for them.
There's a lot to like about Newcastle.
Before. It's now they're being a bit rude to Liverpool fans. Let's be honest, like for no reason. Like we've not done anything. You know, it's like people are gonna.
I wouldn't say for no reason. I wouldn't say for no reason, because every fan base has its trolling section. So I wouldn't say without reason, but it's a complex situation. It is sensitive, and I'm with Ben actually. I do actually feel sorry for them. The way this is happening. It's out of their control.
But I suppose what I'm saying is that when and Liverpool haven't been like this because it's always been a big club in the upper echelons, fighting for the biggest names. But my point is that when you elevate as quickly as Newcastle have done, every single target they're going for now is a box office name. They're not going for some mid-table Premier League team midfielder competing against one or two clubs that also are outside of Champions League. They're competing against Liverpool for Ekitike or Chelsea for João Pedro. So in a weird way, that's backhanded compliment, because the targets they're going for show this project is moving. But if you can't match the wage and the package, and some players want to live in London, or some players think other clubs will always have Champions League over a 3-5 year contract, Newcastle might not, it is a little bit challenging. So I don't think they're losing out only because they're failing. I think they're losing out because they can't compete financially on the wage, on the package, and the fact that every other project is pitching the same thing. It's not like they're the only ones with Champions League football. Chelsea have got Champions League football. Liverpool have got Champions League football. So that's a factor. Then coming back to your question, I don't think it makes the blindest bit of difference who Newcastle get. If they bring in two attackers, that could influence the Isak situation. We'll have to wait and see. But I don't think it's a case of if Man U get Benjamin Sesko, it means that Isak is more likely to stay, because they're not going to miss out on Benjamin Sesko and then go, oh, okay, now we're just all in on only keeping Isak. They're going to still try and add attackers, because remember, Callum Wilson has gone as well. Yeah. So you have a situation where I think Newcastle want two attackers. I sense the Yoane Wissa saga isn't over. And unlike some of these other names, he's pushing. He's doing what Isak is doing to try and force his move to Newcastle United Football Club. Maybe if a third bid is made around the 40 million mark, it will stand a chance. With Benjamin Sesko, the player's perhaps leaning towards Manchester United, but it's two very different tactics. Newcastle are going to Leipzig and they're saying, we'll give you what you want. So then the ball might be in Man United's court to match that offer. And if they can't, then who's to say Sesko won't have a straight choice between Leipzig or Newcastle? If they can, then I think that Sesko is more likely to go to Manchester United. If that happens, you've got Johan Strand Larsen, you've got potentially Ollie Watkins, even though we know that Villa don't want to sell. You've got Nicholas Jackson. There's Lois Openda, so they might go in for Sesko, not get him. And then whilst they're talking to Leipzig, speak about Lois Openda. I even heard Christopher Nkunku the other day from Chelsea. So I think as long as Newcastle get in an attacker, and let's be honest, they might miss out on these names, but come the end of the window, I struggle to believe there won't be several top targets from all around the world that look at that Geordie fan base, look at that stadium, look at that city, look at that manager, look at the camaraderie, look at the ownership and where they could be in a few years' time. Look at how Isak's doubled in valuation. Look at the demand for some of the other Brazilians at the club, like Bruno Guimaraes. Look at the form of Joe Linton under Eddie Howe. Look at the fact that they won a trophy last season, and look at the fact that they've got Champions League football. I reckon you will have several names. It's unfortunate the ones they really wanted have gone elsewhere, but I struggle to believe that Newcastle will leave August empty-handed without at least bringing in one attacker, if not two.
We're going to ask Ben for a summary very, very, very soon, very quickly now. There's over close to 15,000 people watching me. I know you're all here for me. So there's 15,000 people here on all platforms. We appreciate you and amazing support. But Ben, in summary, I feel as though I know the answer that you're going to give. But in summary, what should we look out for in the next 48 hours, possibly few days, 72 hours, in terms of progression or regression in the Nunes, in the Nunes deal, and more importantly, probably as Liverpool fans, in the Isak deal? Is it a case of keep your eyes on Isak's as opposed to equally? I know Gags asked about sort of the incomings of Newcastle. Yeah. I think it's as important, if not more important, to see what Isak does next.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. So with Nunes, no real summary needed. If Al Hilal turn their interest into a formal bid, then if that's around 70 million euros, it will be accepted. And then obviously we'll find out if the player does or doesn't want to go to Saudi in a World Cup year. Pretty simple. If he doesn't go to Saudi Arabia, Liverpool have got to make a big decision. Do they keep him because their valuation is not met? Or do they consider lowering their price to potentially a European suitor? But I think that there is a chance Nunes does want to go to Saudi Arabia, because I was told in January when it was Al Nassr, not Al Hilal, bidding, that he was actually quite keen on that move. And it was very much Liverpool that said, no, we want you to stay. So that could develop. With the Isak situation, again, I encourage everybody to be patient, because a lot will be taken in sound bites that maybe you read on social media, when actually none of us are social media journalists. So even when I break my stories on social media, it's via TalkSport, it's via Gimme Sport. There's a whole article there. There's a whole broadcast there before the tweet comes. And this is, of all stories this summer, the one to understand the full context, because it's complicated due to the fact that you got Michael Edwards involved along with Richard Hughes. You got Yasser Al-Rumayyan. You got no sporting director at Newcastle United. It's a British transfer record. You've got a player that wants to leave. There may be replacements that need to come in. So can we really say anything definitively now? Perhaps not. But the summary is this, that as of now, Newcastle are not preparing an imminent second bid, but that is different to shutting the door on a transfer happening. And if they're to open the door and change their stance, Newcastle United will have to call up Liverpool, whether that's Yasser Al-Rumayyan to Michael Edwards or something a bit more formal, and say, up that bid. In which case, if there is then engagement between the clubs at the second time of asking, my expectation is the deal gets done. So what Liverpool are basically saying is, we went in with confidence and you shot it down so emphatically that you've got to come back to us. And if you come back to us, make sure there's a deal to be had, because we don't want to waste our time. So if it ever gets to the point now of a second bid, I would be surprised if that wasn't engaged with and if that didn't lead to a move. How do we get to the second bid? If there is a second bid, I think all those different aspects that we've mentioned throughout the show, including replacements, have to come to the fore. So then what might happen in the next 24, 48 hours? I think the most likely thing is the Isak camp, because my feeling is what Isak does next will define the entire summer. And I come back to what I said before when you exited the stream for a few minutes, that there were three options heading into the window: an extension, a stay, or a Liverpool move. Pretty much nothing else on the table. Man United were never there. Chelsea were never there. PSG were never there. There were three options on the table. Now there's two options on the table, because Newcastle sources I speak to today say just a stay on his current deal is untenable. And that's not the Isak side saying he will not stay and play on his existing contract. This is Newcastle sources intimating they don't think it can continue this way. So they don't think a solution anymore, but they did 3 months ago, can just be, we're not selling you, but you'll carry on playing and then we'll revisit it in a year's time. So I think Isak is either going to say, I'm not playing, I'm not training, I'm not part of your Premier League squads in August. And then I think Liverpool gain encouragement again, or he returns and he reintegrates. And then I actually think prior to Liverpool doing anything, there's a fair chance that Newcastle try and move as quick as they possibly can to say, thank you for reintegrating yourself. Here is a formal new deal. It allows you to leave in a year's time. Are you prepared to do one more year knowing you've got Champions League? And then we'll sell you to Liverpool in 12 months' time, and maybe even at a cheaper rate. So I think these are the directions of travel. Can I say exactly what's going to happen? No. Are people going to take things out of context? Yes. But that is where we stand as of tonight. No imminent bid planned, and an inclination not to bid at all. But if Newcastle United get on the end of the phone when other things align and say, actually, there's a deal to be had, then as long as Liverpool think they're genuine and they're not going to mess them around and they're not going to play too hard ball and it's going to suit all parties, then there is still a possibility that something moves a little bit later in the window.
Last question before you go. Very last question. Liverpool and the centre-backs. Obviously, we've not heard how severe Joe Gomez's injury is, but at the moment, in pre-season, we're playing anyone or everyone at centre-back when we're taking players off. Have you heard anything about any links to, I mean, what's happening with Guehi or anything else who Liverpool are linked with at all?
Yeah, Mark Gay is the interesting one, and obviously the price is expected to drop as the window progresses. So later in the window for a centre-back was always something that I was told. And as a consequence, I'm not surprised we're August the 1st and they haven't really bid for a centre-back. Mark Gay, price Crystal Palace one, is still around the 40-45 million pound mark. It was 50 at the beginning of the window. And I think Liverpool are actually looking at south of 40 million or 40 million with add-ons at the top end. And I don't think you get that accepted by Crystal Palace until a few more days or weeks pass. So if they bid for Gay, it's intentionally doing nothing to allow the price to drop. Because remember, with Mark Gay, he's not going to sign a new deal at Crystal Palace. Palace actually want to sell right now because they don't want him to go on a free. But Gay's the exact opposite. He's saying, if I play every week at Crystal Palace, leave on a free, pick my club because I'm a free transfer, and then have stability and minutes every week ahead of the World Cup. So it isn't only about, can you persuade Crystal Palace to sell for 40 million or less? It's also about, can you persuade Mark Gahey that specifically this season, he's going to get enough game time? And naturally, if Ibrahima Konate stays at the club and you have Virgil van Dijk, Mark Gahey might think he's better placed just to keep playing for Crystal Palace, captain that football club, and leave in a year's time. So this isn't only about Liverpool and Palace. And actually, I think Palace are going to be easier to deal with than Gahey, because you've really got to convince the player, not the long term, not the project, not the life after Konate, Van Dijk. You've got to tell him you're going to play 38 Premier League games this season, because that's what he's looking for in a World Cup year. So I think they may bid, but only if that price and the players and clubs plan aligns, and we're not there yet. And the other thing that people don't get about Mark Gahey is that he's sort of the exception to the rule in Liverpool's plan, which might sound strange because I think he's only 23 years of age. But Richard Hughes has been shortlisting defenders Jarrell Quansah's age or younger, so 18 to 22. That's why they looked at Jorrel Hatto, but he's gone to Chelsea. Why did Liverpool not bid for Jorrel Hatto? Because the player has been kind of converted since Francesco Farioli to a left back, and Liverpool want a left centre back predominant that can cover at left back, but of course not predominantly because Milos Kerkez has arrived. So if Hatto was developing on track as just a centre back, I think they would have bid. but he's basically deemed to be better now and wants to play at left back since Francesco Farioli came into Ajax. He's obviously left now and is at Porto. But as a result, Liverpool sort of backed off despite giving him some consideration early in the window. Charlie Cresswell's another one, the ex-Leeds defender who's at Toulouse that they've scouted. So I think they may try for Guéhi. That seems to be the direction of travel. But if they don't get Guéhi, they're going to pivot back to this list of names they've had really for a long time. So if you look at Levi Colwell, even though they didn't think there was a chance, if you look at Lenny Yoro, who they only lost out on because they said, this is our plan for you. And Lenny Yoro disagreed. It wasn't a rejection of the club. It's how Liverpool work. You look at Mamadashvili and Alisson. You look at Kirkes and Andy Robertson. You look at potentially a young defender and Virgil van Dijk. Liverpool constantly bring in the name they want before the name they're replacing leaves. So if you're Lenny Yoro, the pitch to Yoro was you're not going to play every week, and he wanted to play every week. And Liverpool were not going to go against what they thought was best for his long-term development by chucking him in at the deep end. So this wasn't about not agreeing with the player. It was about the player listening to Liverpool's pitch as to how he's going to turn into a generational defender and saying, we don't think you're ready next season. Man U said, we think you are. He went and joined Man United. So if you go back a bit further, even before Richard Hughes, this 18 to 22-year-old young defender that is not ready now, but doesn't need to be ready now because you've got Ibrahima Konate and Virgil van Dijk. That's the plan. But Gay's sort of the exception because he might prove such good value for money if the price drops below 40. Yeah. And then when you think about Jarrell Quansah going and them being quite thin at centre-back, and all it needs is Ibrahima Konate to say, I want to leave now, or Virgil van Dijk to pick up an injury, and suddenly someone with proven, ready-made Premier League experience would be perfect. But you got to be able to convince the player that you might have to wait, that you might not be in the starting pairing on the first game of the season. So that's what makes the Gay situation the exception, but it's definitely not dead. And it wouldn't surprise me if in the next week or two, Liverpool show their hand.
I wouldn't want you to miss your TalkSport show. You've got a couple
I wanted to bring this comment up because I don't want to give a long summary of Ben's summary of his performance, but it's been class, just class. And we appreciate your time. We appreciate your effort. We appreciate your reporting. Thank you very much again, Ben. And I encourage everyone to go and subscribe, follow all of Ben's great work that he's doing across all the platforms. And thank you very much, Ben.
Yeah, keep up the good work, guys. Always a pleasure coming on the show, and let's hope we get some developments soon.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Cheers, guys.
So, I mean, this is it. As a Liverpool fan, right, Gags? It's like time to rub our hands because it's the calm.
I think it's pretty positive.
It's the calm before the storm.
Yeah, it's going to happen. I mean, from the reaction to the tweets earlier, I know he was reporting on it with Alex Crook together. So Alex Crook put something out, and Alex Crook had a little bit of an extra line in here saying, for now type thing, or until Newcastle buy a couple of players. So, yeah, I think it's not so negative as what everybody thought. I think it's, I think it's quite positive that I think this deal does happen. And I think Isak is the key. So if he returns to training, signs a contract, obviously that's not going to happen. But
while we were online, there is some breaking news from Fabrizio Romano as well. And he says Alexander Isak remains on his position. So, we were talking about Isak's position is very crucial into what happens next, how he decides, where he decides to take this. Well, he says he has no intention as of today to sign a new deal at Newcastle. His intention is to go to Liverpool still. Alexander Isak and Liverpool, it is not over today. It depends on Newcastle, as always said. So to people that are saying, oh my God, we've messed this up, how will we mess this up? Or it's over, it's very evident that there is a lot of tactics and games at play here. And I think we need to just stay a little bit patient because we are essentially talking about a record bid. We ain't talking about a 25 million, go in there and increase it by 3 million and Bob's your uncle, right?
100%. I think if we've got another super chat. I think Grizz just told us what he thought. Think maybe you're a little bit behind, but he's just told us what he thought.
I think in a nutshell, people talk about neck on the line. I think he becomes a Liverpool player.
Yeah, me too. I think so too. I think personally, right, and I respect all the work everybody does, and I respect all the journalists and the way they deal with all the clubs and stuff. But I feel like there's games going on between the clubs as well. I feel like there is a circus for the fans. I feel like there is, you know, it's kind of like a screenplay. You pull one way, we pull the other, and then, oh, look, you're on top. No, we're on top now, and we got to look better out of this. Manu's asking, do I really respect all the journos? When I say all the journos, I respect the journos for the job they do. Like, they're just doing their job, you know. There's no reason for me to disrespect anybody. You guys might want to be harsh, and you know that's the social media world. I said this against Trent as well. I wasn't even harsh against Trent. You guys were. And Isak's doing pretty much what Trent was doing, and you guys now want Isak. So hey, I stood in the same line where I am. You guys are moving like this, so don't question who I respect. Respect yourselves first. You know what I mean? So basically, what I'm saying is, I just think I think it's leading one way. There's only one way it goes, and that's Isak coming to Liverpool, personally. And I think it's all about Newcastle looking good because they're having a horrendous apps. I think this is an all-time, you know, like a Liverpool's Windows all-timer. Great. Newcastle's is all-timer shit.
Well, what they have. Well, so look, and Cam Brent's in the building. He says Newcastle are well versed in these games. Anthony Gordon being prime example. Anthony Gordon's interview today, I don't know if anyone heard it, read it, seen it. He talks about how it affected him. How can Newcastle go into a season knowing that what Gordon has said about his experience last season, about not being able to move to Liverpool when he wanted to, and now they're going to do the same to their star man, main striker, who's worth 130 million to them, and possibly, and that 130 million could get that squad very, very far. How does this end? I think there's only one ending, and that's Alexander the Great Isak will be a Liverpool player by the end of it. Of course, we didn't get a chance to touch upon Tyler Morton's pending move to Lyon. Paul Joyce has tweeted that very close to a £15 million move. Again, great business, great move, right?
What a deal. Nunes, if we get the 70 million euros for Nunes, dude, I'm telling you, the window is insane from Liverpool. Insane. And I've got a feeling, just say whatever we're saying is wrong, because there's always a chance we're wrong. There's no way that anyone can always be right. Just say Isak doesn't happen, right? Just say we're wrong, and what we're feeling or what we're thinking about Isak coming is wrong. Then maybe we've got a pivot ready as well, like a Rodrigo or something like that. I don't know who can play.
We have to, but this is my point I was making to Ben in terms of if we're getting rid of Nunes, regardless of not regardless, but if Isak doesn't happen, then we're bringing in minimum two attackers. The numbers don't calculate.
Has to be. It has to be two attackers now, including Isak. Because I know he didn't want to talk about the Jota thing, but it's a squad spot gone, you know.
Yeah, but many are suggesting, and obviously his performances have helped that notion about Rio being the sixth attacker.
Yeah, but that's sixth. Chiesa was the sixth, so Chiesa got what 150, 300 minutes. That's about right for Rio.
Yeah, but that's fine then, isn't it? If Rio is the sixth attacker, we don't need two. Am I right? If Isak
is gone.
Okay, hold on.
Chiesa will be gone. Nunes will be gone. Diaz will be gone.
Who will be here? Isak, Ekitike,
Mo,
Salah, Gakpo, Mo, and Rio.
No, you've just done Mo twice.
That's how good he is.
No, you did Mo twice, so we don't. We'll have four.
Okay, problem.
Yeah, 100%.
Jaggy says, do we get him if Newcastle don't sign anyone? No.
I don't think so. I think that's the problem. They have to sign. But I don't see Newcastle not signing anyone. That's the thing. I think they will go down the list and end up getting somebody or two people.
It's not, and people are talking about Rodrigo and sort of, I mean, look, at the moment, I don't know of any Look, who's going to say no to Rodrigo, right? I'm not his biggest fan, but my first choice has to be getting Isak and then aligned with a Fofana. Because if this deal goes through and we are very favorable in our terms with Leon and our negotiations, it will only enhance and it will only encourage Leon to deal with us about Malik Fofana. And we already know from Malik Fofana's very vocal agent that Malik Fofana would love to join Liverpool. So exciting times.
Really exciting.
Great show.
We say at the same time. Any last questions from anybody? I think there's a Tyler Dibbling one here. I don't think Liverpool will be interested in Tyler Dibbling, Mr. Sky Blue, if I'm honest, just yet. I think they want 30 million odd for him. I think we'll probably go for more of a Fofana, like Grizz said, instead. Yeah, Tommy says if we go into the season with 4 attackers, we're screwed. Mr. Sky Blue thinks Rio is better than Fofana. Oh, where's he gone? Rio is better than Fofana. Wow. Okay, fine, if that's what you think. But you haven't seen that much of Rio, surely. Just one game against Japanese team. Yeah, that's anything. No, nothing else really there, I think.
No.
Well, what's your feeling, Grizz, overall? What do you think of what do you think is going to happen next? Do you think we will wait for Isak first before moving towards a CB and winger, or do you think we'll pivot now?
For sure, I don't think this will drag on. I don't think either club it's in either club's interest. I think we'll see significant movement on Newcastle and their incomings over the weekend, and then that will path. What's the word? Path the way. Path the way for us to make our move. Once they've said, okay, we've secured our targets, we have not been mugged off in the market, because when people know you have 120, 130 million pound in your pocket, then obviously their prices or their asking price will be different from as opposed to not having that 120, 30 if you leave it in limbo. So I think, look, my personal plan, guys, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I think this is all part of the dance. I think, as I said to you, I believe that relations behind the scenes are very good between the clubs. I think this is a playoff, face-off, call it what you want. I think they know, Liverpool know that Newcastle need to play the game to secure their targets at a reasonable rate, and we need to help them in order to get those players on board. So we have to make out we're pulling away and we're not intending to bid again. So therefore, the likes of other clubs are thinking, oh, if Liverpool are not going to give them the money, maybe Newcastle haven't got the money. It's all, in my opinion, a game. It could backfire, and like people said, I put my neck on the line and I could look like an absolute shithead. But it won't be the first time, it won't be the last time. But right now, I believe this is all part of the dance.
Can I ask a question?
Keep the music on in the background. Keep the music on in the background lightly, and just let it simmer away.
Can I ask? I watched the video. I really enjoyed it. I gave you feedback in WhatsApp, the Isak one. But I want to ask what the idea was around how calm it was, and it was like you ate some, I don't know, calmers, and you were just like very slow talking. What was the idea behind it? It was quite good. I enjoyed it.
Thank you very much for that first. And people that know or follow me will know that that's me. I've got a phrase. I've got quite a few phrases in the big season. One of them is relax the ball. And that's me just relaxing the ball. I am very relaxed about the whole situation and scenario. But why not, Gags? We are in absolute monster situation. Calmness. That's what it's about. And the video was about sort of me not doing a couple of things. I haven't had a cereal in time, so I had a cereal, and I hadn't done a video on my channel. So I done a video on my channel.
Kit Kat cereal. Wow.
I went for chocolate shreddies. There was no chocolate shreddies. And the next thing that I thought was closest to it was Kit Kat, but it was not the same.
No, didn't look good.
I mean, they didn't reply to my email as part of us brand partners anyway, so I stuffed them.
Oh, wow, nice. Well, Mohammed says $9.99, by the way. That's the biggest we've had in this show. So, Mohammed, thank you so much for the super chat. This deal has already been agreed a while ago, and all this is PR and assistance to help Newcastle get a striker. 135 million is what's done, and all this is for show. Richard Hughes has orchestrated it all. Mohammed, tell us who your source is, bro. Because
that's pretty
Hines, whoever it is, we need to like get in touch and find out.
That's pretty much exactly what I just said. Literally just what I said 30 seconds ago. But hey, listen, what do we know? We can only give our opinions, whether they're informed or uninformed. And let's bide our time. Let's watch what happens in the next. As I said, I don't think this will drag on. Next 3 or 4 days.
By the way, we got it wrong. Mohammed is a star for giving us $9.99, but Mag Debate has told us it's pave the way, not pave the way. It's pave the way.
Yeah, I knew I said it wrong.
I got it wrong as well. So yeah, well, we're a bunch of idiots, both of us.
Honestly,
you're idiots. That's what we are.
What's the point of having a tag team partner when he doesn't help me? Like, I tagged you for help and you bloody missed my hand. You absolute shithead. Like, you know, Chat G&G. What's the point? Like, I looked at you for inspiration. And you went,
GPT.
Pave the way. Pave the way. Of course, it's paved the way. Thank you very much.
We're paving the way for better YouTubers. That's what we're doing.
Thank you very much. But listen, it's been an end to another wonderful show. It brings us to an end.
Dear.
We love the support. We love the energy. The chat has been amazing. Ben was superb, and Gags was just there as well. So hey, everyone's a winner, baby.
We are winners. I just, well, Liverpool definitely are winners, and they will be no matter what. Oh my God, we can't stop because people are giving us another $4.99 here from West Coast LFC LA from LA. Wonderful. If it's all down to Isak, why does it matter if you get their striker or not? I don't think it does. Well, it does matter because they can't let him leave without replacing him, right? No matter what happens, they need to have a player in before he goes, because that's just the way any club works, you know, any club in history. You look at any transfer, they want to make sure they look at Palace. Really, the stuff that I hear about Palace and Guehi is that they need to get a CB in first before they let him go, and they're struggling to get one in. So, you know, what Ben says is probably true too, but I think Palace would need to get that replacement, and they were going for, who was it, Diamande? They couldn't get him in. Now they're going for someone else. And it's a tough one for them. So, plus they're having all this stuff with Europa League, right? So there's a whole load of other factors going in here. And I think the CB one, I think one thing that he's right about is probably going to go late in the window for the CB. But I think Isak.
But even that, I think it's under control. I think we have most things under control. It might not see me at the moment, people, but my message, my opinion, my advice would be, whether you want to listen or take it or ignore it, whatever, that's up to you, but would be to stay calm. I think it's fine. Stay patient. We've done the majority of the groundwork in terms of the first part of the window, bringing in 4 players in. And now for the next 2 or 3, we may have to be a bit patient because they may be the most awkward ones to deal with, especially one of them, which is going to be the record-breaking one to bring in with. So these things take time. These things take patience, but all will be well. And yeah, we will be very, very strong again this season. This has been Chat G&G, and this has been an epic show, 1 hour, 15 minutes of great analysis from the guys. And I've just been here to sort of go along with it and tag along. Gags, anything else to add or subtract?
This is new ground for me. I'm used to like hundreds of people watching. There's 16,500 on a show across all formats, all so this is yeah, very, very appreciative of everyone giving us the time their evening on a Friday night. So thank you very much for joining us and listening in. Any feedback, we always look to improve, and you know, we're always trying to be better and do better. So thank you very much for being here. And we've got another super chat in.
Last one. I'm not going to be addressing anymore because I must sleep. I'm beauty sleep. I know it's 9 o'clock on a Friday night, but that's how I roll. Samuel says, reckon we'll still go for a wide player?
Hope so.
I'm not sure. I hope so.
I really do. I hope
Yeah,
so. I hope it's the
I'm more inclined to say yes than no. 60-40 that we do. Big up PIDs in the building. A very, very good personal friend of mine says, smash the likes, people. Patience. Isak is a red. Thank you very much, Chat, from Anfield Index. And listen, all that's left is to say good night from him and good night from me. Peace, love, and tranquility to you all. Up the Reds. Take care. Bye-bye.